Hello there, and welcome to what is going to be kind of out of nowhere video on this channel, I guess. So, to give this a little bit of context, for the last couple years, I've been playing this browser-based game called Fallen London. If you've played Sunless Seas or Sunless Skies, you know this setting already. This is where those games stemmed out from. One of the main features of it is that your character has some overarching ambition that they're trying to accomplish throughout your however long you're going to be playing the game. And within the last week or so, I finally decided that it was time to wrap up the one that I had chosen. So, this would be I guess you could call it a quest or a storyline in this game that I started well over a year ago and is now finally coming to a conclusion. So we're going to try to wrap this up in a video instead of just me posting random images captured of it. For those unfamiliar, Fallen London is, like I said, a browser-based game. It's heavily text-based. The majority of it revolves around just trying to have your character live out a life in the city of London after it has fallen into a massive underground cavern after being sold to a fairly insidious-seeming organization called the Echo Bazaar, ruled over by a bunch of cloaked and hooded figures called the Masters of the Bazaar. If you're coming into this totally blind, none of this is going to make sense, and I definitely don't blame you for just turning off the video right here and now. For anyone who is going to stick around, just to quickly sum up what has happened in the ambition I'm going for so far. It started out as basically being presented as you can join in a extraordinarily secretive card game in order to win your heart's most treasured desire. Something that you would essentially spend a wish to get. Beyond that, there were no specifics of what that desire might be or how you would go about joining this weird card game that's apparently just happening every 10 or 20 years or so whenever the stars align correctly. That is just secretly happening in the background of everything else going on. So, the whole first section of this storyline is you just trying to break your way into the card game itself, and then trying to get the game started up early instead of having to wait for the next convergence to happen. So you slowly assemble the players, most of whom, actually I guess all of whom technically, have been playing this for quite a while without success. Anyone who wins typically isn't welcome to play again. They've achieved their heart's desire and thus have nothing else to win, so they are banned from ever joining the game again. The card game itself is called The Marvelous, and it has its own bizarre set of rules that are more or less impossible to completely pin down. The way it's written, it leaves it extremely open-ended, what does what in it. I'm sure someone insane enough out there has broken down exactly what the rules are and what beats what and what hands interact with other ones in what way, but yeah, essentially it's a big poker tournament, just with very esoteric rules involved. So, we eventually got all the players together. Some of them a bit more strange than others. Amongst them was a monkey that we had picked up along the way who is an excellent card player. In addition, there was also a deviless named Virginia, who was once governor of the city, or mayor of the city. The Topsy King, who is an insane king of thieves, essentially, who lives above the city. The manager of the Royal Bethlehem Hotel, what is essentially the massive insane asylum in Fallen London. And the manager himself being a now thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years old Gilgamesh from what was the first city that was claimed by the Echo Bazaar. And I guess for those history buffs out there, it would most likely have been, I never know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Uruk, or whatever, it was an old Sumerian city. So those three. There was also Mr. Pages, who is one of the masters of the bazaar, playing to have its own heart's desire fulfilled. A few of the other players, you beat one of them early on, the Bishop of St. Fiacre, by essentially challenging him to the first round of the tournament. He blackmails you with a bunch of stuff, you find out a bunch of his secrets, turn the blackmail around on him, and then play a very uncomfortable few hands before he essentially lets you win so you don't put out his extremely scandalous blackmail material. After that, I ended up going up against the manager of the Royal Bethlehem Hotel. He had, in the first round, played against the Topsy King and beaten him. And it turned out that the Topsy King is insane because he had lost an earlier, probably decades ago, round of the Marvelous against the manager. The manager claimed his sanity as his prize. So we ended up beating the manager and getting back the Topsy King's sanity. So he is now only sometimes insane, but we were able to fix his life a good bit in the process of also beating the person who might have been the most annoying opponent in the entire tournament. In the meantime, our annoying little monkey friend that we made went up against Mr. Pages and absolutely demolished him. And then when Mr. Pages offered to put up an all-or-nothing bet at the end for one more chance, the monkey just declined entirely, which was not against the rules, but is entirely just, like, a super dishonorable way of playing, essentially, is what they set it up as. So now it's me versus the monkey. You find out partway through that the monkey was once a winner of the Marvelous, and has now long since come to realize that his own wish was stupid, and that he hates being a monkey. But instead of aiming to win this time in order to turn himself back into the human he once was, his plan is to end the Marvelous entirely if he wins, to essentially wish for it to never be played again. And we can't have that happening. And also, I really want to spite this little monkey. So, we're going for something else. So, just to cover what has happened in the last week or so. We defeated the manager. We got everything we needed together to play the final the final round. And now we are trying to put together a strategy to go up against the monkey with. So, going back to Inside and Out. You spend a week locked in your study, mocking up every trick, hand, and river combination you can, with limited improvement to your own game. Then inspiration strikes. You take to the town and seek out all of the monkey's old haunts. The gambling dens, the boozers. You bring wagers and gifts to win your way into their games, ply them with drink to hear their stories of your opponent. till you have a clearer picture of his style, his preferred plays, his tells, and his bluffs. But it is not enough. These games are not the marvelous. You need more practice at the real thing, with its traditions, its complexities, its errata, and its peculiarities. Only a few others are versed enough in it to teach you. 5, to be precise. The defeated players. Against them, you can practice your skills and learn from their mistakes. And with that, we set out to have some of the former players who were just defeated over the last few months teach us a little bit more about the game. Each one of them had their own very expensive, very time-consuming way of going about getting them to agree. And the 3 that I ended up choosing were the Topsy King, who already owed me a favor, the manager of the Royal Bethlehem Hotel, who I just happened to already be in possession of all the things I would need to win him over, and then Mr. Pages himself. Far-off ambition. The manager listens, eyes closed, hands trembling on his cane as you relate the glories of ancient cities, of Alexandria and Antioch, of the first caution, of Arbor stolen by roses, and the investiture devoured by spiders, of seven-walled Nida before its gates were closed, of the city that stood where hell now stands. When you finish, he applauds, the sound echoing in the dark and quiet London streets. One day, he says, I shall join their ranks. Oh, what a romantic ruin I'll make. Satisfied, he turns to your training. He instructs you in the art of ceaseless offense, of callous distraction, and of mercilessly identifying and exploiting a weakness. He teaches you several stratagems and loopholes that allow you to undermine and confound your opponent's strategies. A fresh gloss. Mr. Pages insists you share the honey with it. Only the finest spoonfuls. You lie back against soft cushions. This was a significant amount of prisoner's honey, which lets you experience dreams with another person who is also eating it. So I took a bunch, Mr. Pages took a bunch, and then we both dreamed. You dream of a cave located in a high, stellar wilderness. The light of distant stars scintillates across frost-crowned peaks. Nestled within the Great Range, hounded by fierce winds, is a cave. You should not be here. The writing on the cave wall flares, singeing the air, your eyes, the membranes of your wings. These are the deeds and annals of your kind. Records of accords and journeys, of victories and defeats in bloody primacy contests. The inventories of great troves accumulated by legendary curators. They are the myths of your ilk, hoarded from firelit councils in the recesses of the sky. But the text is old, wrong in cases, contradictory, fragmentary, displeasing. There are baseless assumptions and gross omissions. There are parts that may be factually correct, but nevertheless weaken the whole. Your claws twitch. There is a hard flint in your grasp. You itch to amend, to correct and improve, to edit, to set to work. You set to work. You are still focused on your task when they find you. Their claws are upon you, their wings raised in threat. Their voices are an inchoate scream of outrage. Pages eyes you warily when you wake. How intimate. More than I expected you to see. It is not the truth, of course. Such is the way of dreams.
The amendments took a long time, even before I was interrupted. But one day I shall return to resume my work. Until then, I have the Marvelous, which you intend to win, I reprieve.
Mr. Pages does not share its own strategies. Rather, it concentrates on sharpening your own. Mr. Pages has studied the monkey intensively.
The sad necessity of loatheration.
And anticipates its strategies keenly. Pages does not leave until you have demonstrated you can beat it 3 times in a row. And with that one complete, we ended up setting off for the final round of the Marvelous. The carriage whisks you across the city. The horses are sure-footed, the driver silent. The wheels are luxuriously springy, the seats plump with cushions. Despite the famous unevenness of London's cobbles, you do not feel so much as a bump. You are cocooned away, and it is as though you had already left the city far behind. Your arrival is therefore sudden. A white-gloved servant opens the door for you. Waiting to greet you is the unmistakable bulk of Mr. Hart's. The bazaar's ormolu door is open, its ornate gilded frame alive in the lamplight. Red ribbons are strung from it like bunting on a wedding day. Mr. Hart's escorts you within. You make a slow, dark descent to a bone-white pier. A coracle, its hull thin as paper, waits to carry you along a wine-colored river that burns and boils beneath it. Boarding the little vessel, with Mr. Hart's hunched in the bow, you are swept deeper into the bazaar. The river is gluttonous. It smells of copper and heat. Mr. Hart makes polite conversation. Eventually, you arrive at a second pier. The passages here are wide and vascular. Their surfaces pulsate warmly. Mr. Hart's beckons you up a grand set of slick black stairs and through a door of meat. Beyond, a bulbous chamber the size of a cathedral opens up. The air is close and moist. The walls are a lurid red and restless. They palpitate and move like muscle. You have entered the heart of the bazaar. So the final round of the Marvelous is set to take place within the literal beating heart of the Echo Bazaar. The Echo Bazaar itself, while technically being the center of trade and commerce in any of the stolen cities, is actually a living organism. One that I think Sunless Skies sheds a little more light on. But that's not why we're here. Let me see here. That brings us back to the here and now. The heart of the bazaar contains several chambers. Mr. Hart's escorts you to the chamber that is reserved for the Marvelous, a close, fibrous room, the approximate shape of a garlic bulb. A midnight altar wrought from some superterrestrial metal stands at its center. The cards of the Marvelous have been laid upon it, along with a carafe of dark wine and a plate of biscuits. Two chairs face each other across the altar. No, not chairs. Thrones. Thrones of antiquity, gold and looming, salvaged from the halls of forgotten kings. They look very uncomfortable. The monkey is already slouched in one of them. He waves to you, clearly not understanding that I hate him. He has brought his own refreshments, spurning the proffered biscuits, and nibbles on the contents of a bag of fruit. They look like figs, but have bronze skins and smell of honeysuckle. As you take a seat, the monkey gestures discreetly toward the ceiling. You look up. masters have gathered. They are hanging from the ceiling, their robes wound tightly about them in folds, their matted hind talons sunk deep into the fleshy surface of the ceiling. Should also have mentioned the Masters of the Bazaar are essentially giant space bats. A bit more humanoid in shape, but pretty much just bats. "Commence," says Mr. Hartz, clambering nimbly up the fibrous wall to join his colleagues. I guess we will shake the monkey's paw. Across the altar, he extends his gnarled fingers. It is time to begin. Opening plays. Power. As the monkey begins to deal the cards, the heart of the bazaar beats. Once. A single thunderous beat which reverberates like the toll of a bell. The pressure in the chamber intensifies. Your ears ring. Visions steal in, rich as incense. You see the mighty of London bowing as you pass. You see streams of gold thread between your fingers like silk. You see fear in the eyes of your enemies. But all of this is irrelevant. What matters is what it enables. Your transformation. You feel the slow stretching in your bones. Your organs persistently rearranging themselves into superior configurations. You cast off your robes and stretch your new arched wings, wide enough to break the sky. So what I gather here is that this is going to go through the possible heart's desires that you could take here. The one it's describing right now is exactly what I want. I want to become one of the masters of the bazaar. So that's what we're going to go for. Attempt to throw off the visions. Pull your attention back to the cards, the game, your opponent, or draw strength from the visions of power. There is so much in the world that could be improved, and power is the only way to do it. An easier challenge at the cost of menaces. My menaces are currently non-existent, so... well, I don't actually know what the rest of this storyline is going to entail as far as challenge goes. I think we're going to do it. But we're going to do it with a little extra insurance, just in case. So we're going to spend a sudden insight to ensure a second chance in case this roll goes poorly. But an 87% chance of winning, it's fine. And Nightmare, Suspicion, and Wounds only went up to 2, so it's probably fine. All of that could be yours. You look across at the monkey, struggling against his own visions. Your sight swims, and you see his weakness, his insignificance. He is nothing but an interruption. You give yourself to the visions. You see yourself in the halls of the mighty, where your voice rings out like a clarion horn. If you legislated for the dead to rise from their graves, they would obey. All of London nestles in the safety of your invisible hand. A hand that could close whenever you choose. The bazaar opens all of its 7 doors to you, and the other masters welcome you to a spire of your own. In the innermost chambers, you let fall your robe and allow your magnificent wings to spread. The visions sharpen your desire. You play better than ever before. The monkey is still ahead, but you are learning his tells. Let's see here. Developing play. Love. The second day of the Marvelous begins. Okay, this is happening across multiple days. Okay, I guess that puts this into a better bit of perspective here. We are not stopping at any point in this. The game is just going so long that it is going to cover multiple days. There's no break in between any of these. The second day of the marvelous begins. Your eyes are bloodshot, your throat raw. The masters still hang above you, looking down with hungry eyes. The game matters more to them now than the affairs of the city. As you shuffle the deck, the heart of the bazaar pulses again, deafening as thunder. As it echoes, new visions assail you. Adoring eyes locked with yours. The heat of a fierce embrace. Beating heart to beating heart. Two lives completed by each other. A love that inspires and consumes. Force the visions from your mind. The game is all that matters. Love can wait. Draw strength from the visions of love. In all things, look to love. We are in the heart of the bazaar right now, and there is a saying in this setting that in all matters related to the bazaar, look to love, always. So we could draw upon this a bit more. It would probably raise our suspicions another 2 points. If any of these hit 8, we have some issues that are going to occur, though I don't know how they'll actually... I don't know what that'll do if we're in the middle of this when it happens. We're not going to take that chance. We're going to force the visions from our mind. The heart is a compass. It points true. You ignore the feel of a phantasmal hand in yours, the whispers of words you yearned to hear. You harden your heart. The prize is in sight. Opposite you, the monkey is visibly shaken. These visions affect him more deeply than the visions of power. Tears roll from his brown eyes, matting thick tangles in his fur. He plays on, but you are able to hold your ground, matching each of his wins. With one of your own. He wins one round with a conclave of cats. You take the next with a Polythremian. I guess that's how you would say that. Polythremian regret. And you know one of his weaknesses now. So, I know he was engaged to be married before he became a monkey. So, I'm guessing love will continue to be a weak point for him. Oh, okay. Our nightmares, wounds, and suspicions still went up by 1. But I'm sure it would have been worse if we had gone with the other one. The game matures. Time. How long have you been playing now? It feels impossible to say. One day bleeds into another. You both slept for a while, slumped on the table, then woke and resumed to the insistent chivying of the masters. I'll be honest, I don't know what some of these words mean. The bazaar's heart beats again, and today the visions offer the most precious currency of all. Time. You see yourself defying time, the greatest of thieves, and living hale and healthy into a new age of the world, an endless future, to make of what you want. And not just time for you, but for others too. The theft of the sixth city deferred. London's lifespan is prolonged, gleaming like the Neath's darkest jewel. So that's the other thing. London is the 5th city that the Echo Bazaar has taken. When the 6th city falls, London will be destroyed in the process. So it sounds like we could put off the fall indefinitely, which could be nice. But it's not what I'm here for. I want power. And wings. Okay, so we lost that one, but we get a second shot at because we used that, I'm not sure which one I just used, but we used it. Oh, crap. Alright. The treachery of clocks. A parade of futures assails you. Railways stretching from here to hell. A full sun hatched over London and illuminating her new wide territories across the sea. That is most likely the... Alright, so anyone who has played Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies as well would know about the Dawn Machine, the clockwork sun that part of the Admiralty has been working on. I kind of hate the thing, so that's already not something I would like to see come to pass. A war against the Elder Continent, also not great. And the conquest of the Mountain of Light. None of this is something that I want to see come to pass. An extinguishment of all light. And endless freedom in the dark. You can't see which way the cards are going to fall. Or focus on them through the parade of what-ifs. So that's describing the liberation of night, yet another future I would prefer to avoid. Fun stuff. Meanwhile, the monkey is unaffected by the fantasies. Time holds no allure for him. He plays each hand as though it might be his last. When you manage to drag your attention back to the game, you see, helplessly, that the monkey has added most of your coins to its own. When will Beechwood make a mistake? So Beechwood is the man that the monkey used to be. The endgame. Escape. How long have you been playing now? Weeks? Months? Your perspective... No, my eyes are terrible. Okay. Your respective stakes have ebbed and flowed like the tide. Bright coins traveling first one way, then back again. But the monkey's experience and skill have held firm. Its pile is larger than yours. Bazaar's heart pounds once more, and you are struck by visions of a new desire. Escape. Escape from London, escape from beneath. You see the glow of a rising sun across the length of a horizon. Feel the playful touch of wind in your hair. Smell the scent of fresh fallen snow, sharp and crisp. Hear the relentless chatter of birds clear in a blue sky. We're going to turn away from these visions as well and just kind of hope for the best. Yeah, okay, that's better. Yeah, we're not even at 5 on those. Good. Alright, so we lost 1, but that's it so far. All London at your side. You close your eyes against the bright visions and force yourself to think of London. Its peaceful gloom. The soft stirring of the false stars against the dark. The clatter of carriages on its cobbles, and the cries of stallholders in its markets. The hurried rustle of bats passing overhead. The baying of a marsh wolf on Watchmaker's Hill. All the wonders and comforts of this place that should not be, but is. Perhaps London herself is your muse, because you play perfectly. Not a step wrong, not a single tell. Fortune favors you. Your hand is as strong as it can be. A perfect all manner of things. You increase your bet, and the monkey matches it. Again. You go all in and lay down your cards. The watching masters gasp. The monkey breathes out, long and slow, and turns over its own cards. It had the thing in the well. This is referencing back to Mr. Eaton. A useless combination which loses to all other hands but one. Yours. He slumps back in relief, and you can see the dazed look in his eyes. It was luck. Pure luck. Slumps back in separate relief. You are out of coins. All you needed was one more round. You have him now. You know it. One more round. So I should be able to offer an all-or-nothing type bet. Same thing that he denied Mr. Page's. Let's see if he'll accept it. Your last chance. The monkey reaches across the altar and claims the last of your coins. You have seen all his tricks now. He has employed every strategy to beat you. You know all of his tells now. His mind is an open book to you. He looks exhausted. One more hand and you could best him. You could invoke the chance and stake something of your own. If the monkey accepted, everything would come down to one more draw of the cards. The question is, do you still want to win? What a stupid question that is. Stake your profession. All that you have worked for. All that you have secured. This would... oh boy. So my profession is currently a correspondent, which took me a long time to get. Stake your destiny. All that will be yours. All that were promised. I do have a mark of destiny. It would be gone. Stake 1 penny. You needn't tempt him. Whatever your stake, he could not resist. He might hate the marvelous, but he is enthralled to it. This is his last chance for one more round. Forever. If he has his way. I could literally bet 1 penny against him. Stake nothing and forsake your chance. We're not even going to acknowledge that that one's there. So I have a feeling that up to this point, he thinks I'm going to go along with his strategy of ending the Marvelous once it's done. I haven't given him any reason to think otherwise. So we're going to put in 1 penny and see if he takes it. A conspiracy against tragedy. The monkey hesitates, then nods. Its face has an expression of bleak, naked need. There is an intake of breath from the masters above. You gather the deck, shuffle, and deal one last time. When the first cards are revealed, you can guess his 2 likely plays. The monkey discards, draws. There, that flicker of pride in his eyes. He has the better of the 2 hands he wanted. You discard 2 cards and draw up. There is no betting now. You have staked your last. You reveal first. A solid hand, a tragedy procedure, with an accompanying treachery of 7. Opposite, the monkey grins and lays down his cards. 4 crowns and a full conspiracy of rats. Knave, queen, king, and ace. Ordinarily, the tragedy procedure would beat his crowns, but his conspiracy undoes the procedure, leaving his crowns to take the prize. For a moment, he thinks that he has won. From their vantage, the collected masters realize what has happened. As one, they sigh in satisfaction. The monkey frowns and looks back to the cards. You sit back and watch his face as he remembers your tragedy of 7, your treachery of 7. The treachery means 7s beat aces. His conspiracy of rats unravels, and your tragedy procedure reigns supreme. He has lost, and you have won the marvelous. Beechwood's chance. The monkey accepted your chance and lost, but according to tradition, it may offer a chance of its own. He looks up at you and touches his own chest. Here, within the heart of the bazaar, where all desires are laid bare, you can understand what he is offering. He is offering all that remains of Gregory Beechwood, the last vestiges of his humanity. If he loses now, he will become always and only a monkey, remembering nothing of who he was before. You examine him closely. His shoulders are slumped, his eyes are pleading. He is tired of this game, tired of remembering it, tired of playing it, tired of loving it. This is his way out. So the right thing to do would be to accept his chance. The extraordinarily petty thing to do would be this. The conjunction of 7s. The monkey bows its head, defeated, as the masters begin a courteous round of applause. One by one, they drop down around you, landing nimbly on their feet. Each of them looms over you to extend a word or two of congratulations. Even Mr. Irons, I guess, who can't speak, but that's fine. Mr. Hartz pushed to the front. Mr. Hartz pushes to the front.
Profound congratulations,
It intones.
a most entertaining contest. You comported yourself with verve and ingenuity. A game, I think, that we shall be talking about for many years. For now, return to your lodgings. Rest. Enjoy your success.
Beechwood has drawn away. You can see him wringing his paws together compulsively. His eyes are haunted. He knows that, in a few years' time, when the false stars align, he must play the marvelous again. Hearts escorts you back to the coracle, and along the capillary canal to the Molu door.
God, I can't talk today. We will send for you shortly, it says, to arrange your prize.
It does not acknowledge the monkey, who follows you home once more. Almost as though nothing has changed, though you both know that everything already has. Let's see. Victory. Now your heart's desire must wait upon Mr. Hartz. Gain 236 first city coins. Your card sharp monkey quality is gone. You now have one condemned card sharp monkey. A morose monkey who has another game to play. All of his wanting and all of his waking hours are intent upon it. You're connected to the Masters of the Bazaar. It's mildly increasing. He was already at 7. Hasn't quite made it to 8. But, you know, whatever. I'll take it. With that, sometime within the next 24 hours, or sometime after the next 24 hours, I guess, we'll receive some kind of visit, potentially. Not entirely clear on how this one works. Let's go back to our lodgings, just in case there's anything we need to do there. Nope, nothing. Alright. Well, that was long and filled with words that I apparently don't know how to pronounce. I absolutely love this storyline, and while I know the other ambitions are equally, if not more fun to play, I'm pretty sure this has the one reward that I have wanted out of this game more than anything else that it could have offered. So, with that, we're going to wrap up here, and I will add in the rest of this within whenever it shows up in the next 24 hours, I guess. No, that was something else. Okay. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. I will see you whenever I end up getting that card or the rest of the story. I don't know exactly how it's going to come, like what form it's going to be in. Anyway, goodbye. And welcome back. If it sounds a little different in here, that's because it has been 24 hours, and we just had a power outage, so I'm now recording on a laptop with a much worse microphone. We are going to wrap up Ambition Heart's Desire with the Conjunction of Gifts. An invitation arrives from Mr. Hartz. You are respectfully requested to present yourself at the highest spire of the bazaar. There, you will receive your heart's desire. A carriage waits outside your lodgings. Enter the carriage. Your hour is at hand. It is said that every one of the bazaar's spires has a story of its own. Hartz admits you to the bazaar through the Ormolu door and leads you along tunneling passages to another inner portal. This one is made of a single solid slab of gold. It has 7 keyholes. The door, Hartz tells you, can only be unlocked by 7 masters at once, and the keys are redistributed among them annually, lest you get any ideas.
There are no stairs beyond this door. Only the great hollow shaft of the spire stretching upward to the improbable heights. Hearts takes you under the arms. Membranous wings rip through its robes, and with a beat you are lifted aloft, borne to the highest chamber in the bazaar. The chamber is arranged in circular tiers. Seats on each tier look down on the central circular space containing a dock and lectern and a series of workbenches. The overall impression is somewhere between a lecture hall, a court, and an operating theater is more what I was getting the image of there, so... Okay, good. Right on point with that. And an operating theater and a teaching hospital. Small windows look out over London, small and twinkling below. The masters, with the exception of Mr. Pages, are assembled. Oh, poor Pages. Each has occupied one of the seats, and peers down on you as you cross the floor. Some fidget, some are still. You make your way to the dock. I kind of wish it said how many masters are actually present. That's irritating, but whatever. Hear Hearts' speech. Today, it presides over the conjunction of gifts. Colleagues, we are gathered, save for Mr. Pages, who is excluded for reasons of a conflict of interest, to fulfill our sacred duty. This creature, here it gestures to you, has proven victorious in the marvelous, and earned their heart's desire. There is a polite, scattered applause. You take the time to look around. The walls are adorned with calendars. Some of them follow earthly dating systems, others do not. And maps. The workbenches are covered with indecipherable apparatus. A set of heavy red books stands on a shelf. You can make out the black-lettered title of the nearest, The Tragedy Procedures, Volume 7. Here, Mr. Hearts tells you, is where we perform our greatest works. This is where we ascertained how to purchase London, and how to accomplish the small request Her Majesty required in exchange. Thus far, no request has been beyond us. Now, if you would do us the honor, tell us your heart's desire. We shall do all in our power to grant it. Well, I know what I want, but let's see what all the choices are. Silence descends on the chamber, like flowers on a coffin. All the master's attention is fixed on you. Around the court are strewn the remnants of past sessions. Oh boy. The sequestration of cities, the undoing of regents, the committing of the impossible. State your heart's desire. Choose power. You want to be one of them, a master of the bazaar. Terrible, glorious, magnificent. Choose love. You are alone and you would rather not be. Alright, well. They definitely don't sugarcoat that one. Choose time. Long life, not just for you, but for London too. Eventually, the Masters will require a sixth city, but London is your home, and you would want to defer that day as long as possible. Choose escape. You want to walk on the surface again. You want nothing less than the sun, the sea, and the stars. The real stars. That one seems legitimately impossible, and I don't know how they would go about fulfilling that. Time, I could definitely see a way they could do. It's easy enough to just put off the fall of a new city. Love doesn't really strike me as something that the Masters understand, so I'm a little afraid to even ask what that one would be. But power is definitely something that's within their ability to grant. So we're going with power. A new star in the firmament. Vehement argument erupts. Heart says your request must be granted. Fire storms out. Iron furiously scribbles a note on a convenient blackboard. It is hard enough to keep track of our numbers already. Exactly why I was hoping they would say how many were in attendance. Spices approves, though... never mind. Spices approves, though, as does Wines, which is bizarre, as I can't see those two agreeing on anything. This is our part of the bargain, and that's all there is to it, Wines insists. Another argument follows, this one not about whether, but about how. There is some debate as to your... That's definitely a word I've never seen before. Bailiwick, and whether this can be a purely titular bestowal. No, I don't want it to be a title. I want to become a curator. It cannot. Spices and Hearts begin to mix steaming concoctions at one of the workbenches. Okay, so they're just doing this right here and now. Cool. Mr. Vales measures you for a robe. In the end, Hearts approaches you. It is decided. You will be Mr. Cards. You are presented with a heavy robe identical to those the masters wear. It is much too big, but includes a cunningly wrought framework that bulks it out, allowing you to appear larger and less pleasantly formed than you are now. Should we ask its gender? Ponders Wines. Or Wines ponders. Wines ponders. Immaterial, Heart says, with a swish of its claw. It turns back to you. Understand, this responsibility is not one that a creature of your nature could bear. Therefore, you must be improved. There will be processes. Some will be transmutations. We will fashion you into one of our number. It will take some time, perhaps a century. The changes will be gradual, and your full authority and responsibilities will be conveyed upon you when the transformation is complete. But before then, we will announce that a long-lost colleague has joined us to take up initial lighter duties. You will have the respect of London, and an initial jurisdiction that you can perhaps grow into something more substantial. But for now, come, drink this, and lie on this table. Yes, the one with the straps. When you leave the bazaar, you leave as Mr. Cards, clad in your ingeniously frameworked robe. Citizens of London scurry from your path. You can feel the effects of the Master's impossible operations coursing through you. They call it the Red Science. The experience was terrible beyond description, but power has a price. One day you will be indistinguishable from the rest of them, a true master of the bazaar. And wasn't that your heart's desire? It absolutely was. You have completed your ambition, but countless more stories await in Fallen London. There is also a short epilogue to be found in your opportunity deck. Every 4 weeks, Time the Healer will unlock a special reward story let in your lodgings. We have ensured the first installment will come more quickly. From all of us at Fail Better Games, congratulations and thank you. We now have the Robe of Mr. Cards. The robe is huge and concealing and glistens like worm skin. It contains an ingenious framework which grants its wearer the profile and stature of a master of the bazaar. Mr. Cards, of course, is you. Every month, you call it the Ormolu door of the bazaar and are taken inside to undergo various painful but improving procedures. Already you have grown a few inches, though your posture suffers. Your ears are lengthening, and one day, one bold, magnificent day, those nubs on your shoulder blades will be wings. And with that, we are all set here. So I'm just gonna put that on real quick. new category for it. Treasures. What does this actually grant? +6 watchful, +13 persuasive, +4 dreaded, as it should. An artisan of the red signs, +2. Nice. Well, there we go. And just like that, I no longer know what I'm going to do in this game. Huh. Interesting. So that has been well over a year that it took me to get to that point. It has been a really fun journey. So, I guess from here on out, I'm just going to be wrapping up some of the things I've already been working on in here, and... Oh, actually I have the entire Hellbound Railroad to do. Okay, yeah, there's still plenty left to do. Alright, so anyway, this has been the ending of Heart's Desire. I hope any of you that actually watched all of this, I know it's way too long of a video, but anyone who did actually watch up to this point, thank you for sticking with it. And, I don't know, hopefully this makes your own decision on which ambition to go with a little easier, or filled in some blanks that you may have missed out on by not going with this one. I guess that's about it. So, have a good one.